Wait.
Yeah. Here goes the intro.
Avoid legal snags by telling people they're being recorded. Rob, you're being
Hold up, what?
Don't sue the shit out of me.
You're being sued.
Sued Stains.
Son of a bitch.
And I don't want to miss a thing.
I want to close my eyes. Randy, you gotta.
I consumed a life just to hear you dreaming.
Damn.
That's one way to do it.
Oh.
Now the neighbors upstairs get to hear me croon rock songs all day.
Sexy Randy.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another frail episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 228, recorded on Sunday, August 18th, 2019. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Frailty, as was chosen by our lovely Patreon supporter, Darren. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from sort of Chicago, Randy Gandy G-Landy.
What's up? I'm a dancing queen this week.
Yeah,
I got the damn disco ball rolling. Check it out. YouTube.org.
YouTube
Only
exclusive.
17.
YouTube.biz/your social security number.
Somehow you get that information sent straight to your
Oh,
computer.
yeah. It's fishing with a PH.
Only 17. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up?
What up? It's your boy Soju. Got to remind people what my real name is over
Frail stains.
That is your real name.
Sometimes it gets out of hand, but you got to remind these bitches who Soju is.
Bashas. This Bashas.
That is a Bashas. Damn.
Don't forget, Bashas. This is fucking Soju, okay?
Frail stains.
Randy, you look kind of scary. I just see the glow of your mic and then the spinning disco ball.
That's all there is,
scary.
Rob. That's all there is.
Fucking Bashas.
The rest is just an illusion.
Almost made me spit my water out on Randy.
Can't spit water, Bob.
Don't even forget. That got me good. Let's tackle some of this here housekeeping, gentlemen's. Just a reminder, our September poll pick is posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you can vote on a movie we're going to be talking about next month. The theme for the month is witches.
Witch.
Again, I think you need to put a subtitle on that.
Witches. It's
Okay,
witches.
cool.
And the three movies you can vote between are Haxan, The Craft, and The Witches. Or The
How those
Witches.
numbers looking, Bob?
The Craft is winning currently. It pulled just ahead of The Witches, and Haxan is falling behind pretty substantially.
I see.
Mm-hmm. But in other glorious news, we have not one, not two, but three new Patreon supporters this month.
Dicks.
Mm-hmm. So a big thank you and a big shouts out to Mr. Alex K, or maybe Mrs. Alex K, actually. It could go either way.
Madam.
It could go either way.
Alex.
Yeah. Mr. James B. and Mr. John Bowman from the Horrorphoria podcast.
Whoa.
Big thanks for
Thanks, guys.
for supporting us. We feel the love. And of course, we owe you all the straight chilling salute.
Let's do it.
To you all, here we go.
The ass is redder than Satan's dick.
As someone who is excluded from this gag, did we ever explain it?
Yes.
It explains itself, I'm sure. Like every joke we have, it explains itself.
I'm sure it does.
Your dollars
Is better than reality, probably.
Your dollars help us keep DJ Elzebub's ass nice and red. That's
okay. There we go. Okay, that's the explanation I'm looking for.
There you go. It's thorough.
It's a company line, and we will tow it.
Yeah. Justin, do we have any YouTube or Twitch news?
We do. I believe we might be down to hopefully one more week, maybe, on Hello Neighbor. So we're playing horror video games on Twitch. If you didn't know, now you know. Check us out on twitch.tv/Straight Chillin' Podcast. I should be playing tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch me play Hello Neighbor live. And if I can wrap that one up this week, maybe next week we can get some Friday the 13th going with the hashtag hard with that squad again.
Wrap it up, dude. Let's play some Friday the 13th.
Everybody's just waiting.
Just champ,
wrap it up.
That bit.
I wish Justin was better at this fucking game so we could play Friday the 13th.
I am struggling. This game is tough, but it's the kind of tough that, like, when I figure something out, it feels super rewarding. So I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. But it's, like, really hard for me for sure. I just really suck. But it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's like a Disturbia kind of deal where you kind of break it into your neighbor's house. And you got to solve all the puzzles kind of surrounding it. So
it's a classic Suspiria.
You know, did I say Suspiria?
No,
you said last. No, I'm sorry. You're right. Disturbia. I fucked up. I just remembered from last week you saying Disturbia like 10 times.
You're thinking about witches.
Who's
and on top of that, there is a new video game review up on the YouTube as well. Check us out on youtube.com/Straight Chillin' Podcast. This time for Bendy and the Ink Machine. So if you care to know what I think about Bendy and the Ink Machine, you can check that out on YouTube as well. And
you could just look at that
my rage quit.
That Simpsons gif or Simpsons meme where Grandpa Simpson's yelling at a cloud. That's what really encapsulates the whole review.
Shaking his fist furiously.
Yes.
Dude.
Shake it harder, boy.
Dude. Fuck that game. But anyways, no spoilers.
Some spoilers. It's spoiled. I think it's spoiled.
Yeah. I think that's all the housekeeping your boy Soju has.
Bashas. Okay. Yeah. So we had a table at GAM here in Jacksonville yesterday, which is the Game Arts and Music event that happens here every year. And I just wanted to say a big thanks to everybody that stopped by the table, old friends and new friends. It was a pleasure talking with everybody and shaking some hands. Selling a little bit of merchandise, wheeling and dealing.
Whoa, Bob peddling goods over there.
Yeah.
What are you buying?
Stranger.
Now the event was fun as hell. It was packed out the ass, man. They had like a huge dance floor.
Got a new venue now, huh?
Yeah, it's like 3 times the size of the old venue. Like literally.
That seems necessary based on the ones I've been to.
Yeah, and even at its current size, it was like packed. There's a ton of people there.
Wow.
Yeah, the dance floor was popping. They had like a break dance competition, and that watching people break dance just makes my brain blast in half. It's so impressive to me.
Blasts in half.
Damn.
It's crazy. And they had a surprise guest appearance by the Quad City DJs. So every year GAM has like a different theme. And this year's theme was Space GAM. So if you're unfamiliar with Quad City DJs, they did the Space Jam song, like theme song.
Oh, really?
It's your chance, do your dance and the Space Jam. So anyway, they were there. They had like a live performance or whatever. So that was.
Did they do the Space Jam song?
Space Jam?
Yeah. How many times?
Because it's like a 7-minute song on record.
I don't know how long they actually played it. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, it was fucking good time. Lots of cosplay, lots of video games. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think that's it. Oh yeah, another just a quick reminder, we got a new t-shirt design, a Hard With Us t-shirt. It's on our TeePublic.
Confuse your friends and enemies by wearing a shirt that says Hard With Us on.
What is that shirt trying to communicate to me? I don't know. But yeah, you can find that on our TeePublic page. So there you go. Let's go ahead and talk about what we've been watching this week, gentlemen. Randy, what you been watching?
Not a ton this week for me, but I did manage to sneak in a couple of episodes of the new Mindhunter, which is exceptional as fucking always, and I'm so excited about it. They already had the quick run-in with Son of Sam, and it's super, super fun to watch. They made that guy, whoever that actor was, they cast as the Son of Sam is spitting fucking image of him. It's crazy. Like, looks just like him. What else? Anything? Really, we've been playing some like board games and shit, and like de-escalating from watching TV all the fucking time. So, that's really about it. I don't know. I can't think of anything substantial else that we watched, so we'll just call it that.
All right. Any dope board game recommendations?
There is a new game that we got. It's not actually a board game, I guess, but it's like a, I don't know. It's like a quick round sort of thing called Trash Panda that was recommended to us. It's like a $15 game. It's real cheap, and it takes like 20 minutes to play. And basically, your goal is to get as many cards with as much trash on it as possible, and the most trash wins. And there's more to it than that. It's a little strategic, but it's a fun fucking game. I recommend that.
Cool. You can just throw my body in the trash if you want.
I planned on that from the beginning, Bob.
Okay, cool.
All
Very
right.
cool. Juice, what you been watching?
I also started to watch The Mindhunter new episodes. And it reminded me that is what inspired our Cooter Hunter segment. So thank you, Mindhunters.
It's true.
For inspiring the best segment we have.
Segment.
The best.
It's better than the review. It's better than...
Yeah. Other than that, I haven't really been watching a whole lot. We did start this. It's crazy that I've been in Korea long enough now to have yearly traditions, but every year, like toward the end of the summer, they have these movies in the park. So they've we have a nice park close by called Seoul Forest, and they do this big inflatable screen, and they throw a movie up, and you can go out, sit out there for free, and watch a movie, and you have a picnic and eat and whatever. So they just had the first one this past weekend, and it always gets me excited now because now it reminds me like fall is coming. So legit, like the temperatures already started to drop. It's kind of nice at night or whatever. And so I'm just like, oh man, here comes fall or whatever. Unfortunately, the movie was
Shrek 3?
No,
Even Shrekker?
I wish. It was that new Nutcracker movie that came out like last Christmas, which is kind of nuts too because it's a Christmas movie and it's like August or whatever. So I was like, oh damn, Christmas is kind of around the corner, I guess. But dude, it's just like what I don't understand about movies like that is like, so you're obviously like taking an old property because you feel confident in like its selling appeal, right? It's not an original story, the Nutcracker or whatever, but then you literally change like everything about it. It's like if you're gonna rely on its name as a selling point, like why don't you just tell the classic good story that people enjoy? Like that is
not good enough.
What sells? It's just like if you're gonna go through the time to like use the name and kind of the characters, like why make up this new shitty story about it? It's not very good. It's got like this.
You ever
like
seen The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug?
Woman, and it's just like. At that point, I don't understand. It's like, why don't you just make a movie about like a robot woman? Like I don't know. It's kind of like when they made that shitty like Alice in Wonderland or whatever, where like some of the characters that kind of have the names kind of pop up, but the overall story is just general shit. And it's just like, why? Like, why would you even like just make your own shitty movie then? I guess I don't know.
It's the Cheshire Cat, but he's got real sharp teeth and he likes Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, it's like why you gotta do that? I don't know. Somebody fucked up. So I'm excited for fall. Movies in the park. They just picked a poor title, unfortunately.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I watched like the first 4 episodes of Mindhunter season 2 so far. That show's fucking dope. It is kind of difficult to watch multiple episodes in a row because it's so fucking dark. It's so dark.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like it's fascinating. And the acting is just like cool. It's everybody's nailing it. It's just really cool, man.
Just a real thumbs up from Rob on the acting.
Yeah.
It's also like wild, like they're in the 70s and like they don't have cell phones. So like when somebody gets lost in like California, it's not spoiled because it's like at the beginning of the movie, but it's just like you don't know.
They're just
you
lost.
don't know where they are.
They're gone. They
are fucking lost.
They are gone, girls.
I also revisited a little movie called Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Oh my god!
I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a later segment.
I'm so excited about this. Tell me about your thoughts on Book of Shadows.
I can't wait till the end of this episode.
So I mentioned last week actually, but I'm going to be on an episode of the Horrorphoria podcast tomorrow. We're going to be talking about movies that are so bad they're good, and we have like a list of movies we're going to blast through. And this is one that I'd actually never seen all the way through before, and I was like, well, I obviously need to watch it if we're going to be talking about it. So I watched it, and man, that's just a real bad movie.
It's a nice, smelly stinker toilet bowl of a movie.
Yeah, it's like I don't think they were trying to make a comedy, but it's like more that than anything else.
Damn,
yes, that's accurate.
It's just so it feels like it's trying to be this like hipper version of the first Blair Witch. Like they tried to like MTV it up with like these goth kids that are like, pagans, and they're just like really cool, and they got like neat jewelry on.
They're just like you, generation of kids who don't understand.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's just
the
real,
best
real
part
bad.
of that movie to me was when I watched it on one of the like earliest DVDs ever made, I gotta think, and the movie began and ended with an advertisement for you to look for all the hidden messages and Easter eggs in the movie. They not only snuck in a shit ton of dumbass Easter eggs, but they then had completely like negated the purpose of a fucking Easter egg by telling you where they were and what they are, and like full detail in some cases. It made me laugh a lot. So good job, DVD crew.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Mom, you do a lot of features, don't you?
Not like a ton. I've done a few.
I wonder why no one's asked me to talk about Kudos or Yabos.
I've never been asked about.
Wonder why that's.
I do not.
I mean, makes you wonder.
Weird, Are you the gatekeeper, Bob? You gatekeeping us, baby?
No, people can find you guys.
You gatekeeping my ass, baby?
You're just in the shadows. You're just
Hollywood Bob over here.
All right, I didn't read the Book of Shadows, so I'm still. See.
Hollywood Bob. Anyway, yeah, that's all I've been watching this week. Let's go ahead and get in the main event here. Talk about Frailty. Kick it off with the back of the box. What is on the back of the box? Frailty from 2001, directed by Bill Paxton. Also starring.
Dude, hips don't lie, baby. Rob, put some respect on that name.
Some respect. They also, it's starring Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey, whose hips also do not fucking lie.
Yeah, there's a lot of big, heavy hippers in this movie.
Yeah. I don't know how
to the side.
Hip that high. It's like I would fall over, I think, if I tried.
Dude, they're double jointed hips.
Just bam.
I guess technically he's
than your shoulder.
I mean, that just shows the quality of McConaughey's work, because the man, he is playing the son of Bill Paxton. So I mean, his hips gotta be truthful. They gotta be truthful hips.
Mm-hmm. For sure, they're telling the story, the real story, those fucking hips. So the plot of this movie is as follows. A mysterious man arrives at the offices of an FBI agent and recounts his childhood, how his religious fanatic father received visions telling him to destroy people who were in fact demons. Yes, indeedly. So had you guys seen this movie before? Were you aware of it? And would you recommend people check it out? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I saw this movie in theaters somehow, and I honestly don't remember who I saw it with. It had to have been like my mom or something, and I don't know how that happened, but I loved
Gonna go
it then.
learn about Jesus, Randy.
I guess, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Randy.
I was in a training program that none of us were aware of. No, I saw it in theaters, and I've actually really liked this movie for a long time. But it's like this movie that's weirdly like, it's not that it's forgettable, it's that you don't remember it like at the opportune time. Like whenever you talk about the best movies of whatever of early 2000s, this movie just slips my mind.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely recommend this movie.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you're gonna keep going there, Randy.
Yeah, I thought so too. So recommend. Yeah.
No, I definitely recommend it. I think it's like it's just a movie that like for some reason like it just doesn't come up that often. I just feel like it's a sleeper even in my own mind as a fan of it, which is kind of strange.
I'm not saying it's forgettable, but I just don't remember it.
It just never. I don't. It kind of occupies a weird space for me where it just doesn't. Maybe because it just doesn't really fit with other movies of that time to me. Like it just doesn't seem to make sense next to like, latter day Scream. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's the reason. I just don't know. But I do recommend it. I think any horror fan should see it just purely on the testimony of Hips Don't Lie Paxton. Dude, so
can't deny the Paxton.
You should never deny the Paxton.
Juice, what about you?
So I'm pretty excited to talk about this movie today because I don't know. I just watched it last night, so it's morning for me. Monday morning. I just watched it last night, and I had never heard of this movie. I was not familiar with this movie in any capacity. Like Randy said, he saw it in theater. Like I don't even remember seeing a poster or like trailer, or, like know anything about this movie, which is kind of surprising. And I watched it, and it's got like a killer like cast and stuff, and that's when like Matthew McConaughey popped up, Bill Paxton. I was like, holy shit! And it's a strange movie, and I'm like very ready and interested to talk about it. And I don't know if I would recommend it. Maybe, probably, I think, but I don't know.
Interesting.
That's a confused recommendation from your boy Soju. Don't forget it, Bishop.
Don't you?
Frail Saints has spoken.
Very confused recommendation. Yeah, I've seen this movie once before a few years ago, and I didn't recall a large portion of the plot. So rewatching it, I was kind of like watching it for the first time, honestly. I guess it is like kind of forgettable in a way, but it's not that the movie is like bad or unenjoyable. Like I rather enjoyed watching it the first time, and I enjoyed it the second time. Nope. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It's I mean, Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey doing their things, and if you like those actors, I feel like most people probably do.
It's so interesting that you think like you forgot parts of the plot. That's why I wouldn't say this movie is forgettable, because when I think about the movie Frailty, like even before I saw it again for the first time after years, I remembered all the details of the plot. Like I remembered specifically what happened. What I didn't remember was Matthew McConaughey being in it, because it was before the McConaissance where we all knew his face.
Yeah.
So things weren't all right yet. So we had to work towards that. We got there, baby. We sure did.
We got all right.
It made me want to watch Texas Chainsaw Part 4 again.
80 or whatever. Texas Chainsaw Part Zellweger.
Next Generation. That movie is bad. So yeah, sounds like we all at least half recommend it, if not fully recommend it. But I'm going to go and drop that spoiler warning, and we'll get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning. Boiler warning.
Totally. So
the boiler's about to blow.
Uh-huh. So yeah, Matthew McConaughey is actually like not in this movie a whole heck of a lot, really. He's sort of like the beginning and the end.
I mean, he narrates the
He
whole
narrates
thing. So
the
his
whole
voice
thing.
He does.
is in it.
He does.
And then
And he's in a good deal of it.
because it flashes
Okay.
back. I mean,
Like half
he's
the
in-
movie
he's-
is in the present
yeah,
with
he's
him.
in at least like a quarter of the movie, like visually, and then he narrates
third.
over a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like 28.96% of the movie.
Bob,
has
you're
him
just
in it.
wrong.
Rob, just let's not divert from the
We don't
fact
know
that
what
you're
you're
wrong.
Oh,
Matthew
okay.
McConaughey is a star in this movie. Okay,
He's a star, a bright, shining
he's
interstellar.
like he's number 2 behind Bill Paxton.
Stop. All right. Well,
that or Powers Booth.
fuck me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how you keep getting these guest spots, Bob.
I don't know either. I don't have anything to contribute at all.
Hollywood
Play the
Bob
bump,
over.
Rob.
So yeah, the overall like what kicks this movie off is like McConaughey strolls up into an FBI office and he's like, "Yo, there's this God's hand killer going around murdering some people, and I know who it is. It's my fucking brother." And the
Yeah.
FBI agent's like kind of suspect, but he's hearing him out.
Yeah.
And it's
And
Powers
at-
Booth, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and as Matthew McConaughey is like explaining all of this, we go to like flashbacks and we see McConaughey and his brother as kids. Bill Paxton's their father. Their mother passes, and Paxton has this vision where he sees an angel come to him, and the angel's like, "Yo, you know the world's infested with demons, and you have to like start murdering them or destroying them, and I'm going to send you some weapons so you can do that, and I'm going to send you a list
Real
of 7
good,
names."
holy weapons.
Yeah. And so here's the names, and here's a lead pipe and an axe and some gloves, and just start killing the shit out of some folks.
It's weirdly just kind of stuff you find around, you know?
Right in your shed, a lead
Yeah,
pipe.
man. So I'm so confused because I like generally enjoy watching this movie. I found it very interesting and intriguing, and like as I was watching it, I was like really like processing a lot of stuff. But like thinking about like those scenes, like Bill Paxton literally just comes in with his kids, and
Yeah,
like
he
he's
does.
just like, I had a vision from God, and he's gonna send these magical weapons. And then the youngest son's like, "Oh, we're like superheroes then?" He's like, "Yes, son, we're like superheroes. We're gonna throw out the demons." And it's played like so, like Bill
matter of
Paxton.
fact, yeah.
I love like Bill Paxton, but the dude does not have like a lot of range. Like he's
True.
like he's
Whoa.
got he's a pretty one note kind of guy outside of that vampire movie where he just loses his mind.
I could not disagree with you more.
Really?
Yes, especially like that scene. I love that they played it straight because that like him being like a caring father and him maintaining like his son maintaining love for him even though he sees his dad going crazy, or at least that's like what we're led to believe. Like
Yeah.
that is sold in that scene because he's like, "Look, I'm not crazy. I'm your father." And like it puts you in this position that the kid's in, which is like, I don't know, he definitely believes what he's saying, but this can't be true. And like, what's happening here? Like, it puts you
He
in
doesn't
doubt.
even
of him.
feel like very convicted. He literally just like comes in and it's like, I had a vision from an angel. Like it's pretty
very
like
chill.
monotone. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Really, I didn't know. It sounded to me like keeping it together. Like, okay, I have to go explain this. I have to explain this. And my kids trust me. They're gonna trust me. They're gonna trust me. And he's like going in there and doing it. To me, it was great. But
And it was like, and it's an intriguing part. Like you said, it is an intriguing part of the overall premise. Basically, being like Bill Paxton just says is a regular dude. He's a mechanic. He's got 2 sons, just a regular old family, and he just comes in and says like God has like called me to like destroy demons, and like one son, the oldest one, is like definitely not about it. He's like, you're
Fenton.
murdering people. Yeah.
So Fenton is the older kid, and Adam is the young kid. And Adam is just sort of like buying into it. He's like, yeah. And then when Bill Paxton starts bringing people home, he believes that if he lays hands on them, then he'll see the evil that they've done. And then that's sort of like his confirmation that, yeah, this is definitely a demon and I'm okay to destroy it. Because he doesn't see himself as like being a murderer. He's not killing people. He's, quote, destroying demons.
And
like from the outset, like immediately as Bill Paxton's like telling his two kids this crazy story, this vision, Fenton, the older one, it's like, Dad, maybe you're not right in the head. Like he says it like outright. He's like, something's kind of weird here. And he doesn't see the demons, whereas younger brother Adam apparently is able to see them when his dad lays hands on him.
And that's another thing about this movie, because like they do this kind of build up where he's like, you know, son, like God's gonna send us like these weapons, and what is it? It just ends up being like an axe, a lead pipe, and these like busted ass gloves. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then Bill Paxton, he does this whole thing where he's like, and you'll know because the gloves are magical. So when I take the gloves off and I put my hands on these people, then they reveal themselves as demons. So I was like, okay, what's that gonna look like? So when he does it, it's literally just Bill Paxton making this ridiculous face and like just kind of shaking his arm around, and you don't like see it. Like it's literally just a person there. So it's legit played off like this is insane. Like if you're a kid watching it, and I like that aspect of it because you do relate with the kid where you're like, this is fucking stupid. Obviously, you're killing people. Yeah. And your dad is just making this ridiculous face and shaking his arm around when he touches these people. And I like that aspect too.
It's silly to watch like out of context, completely silly. But it's like, but when you're watching, you're like with that kid, like, oh my God, especially if it's your first time watching it, which it wasn't for me. I gotta think my first time watching it, I would have been like, well, nothing's happening, so clearly, Dad is off his ass. Like has no like, this is clearly like him like brainwashing the younger child who's susceptible to such things. Yeah. And like you're the only person in the room. You're the adult in the room, and your dad is another person in the room. So that's a terrifying thing to me.
Yeah, he's trying to like convince her, like, we need to run away, like Dad's murdering people, and like his brother won't go, like, no, I see the demons or whatever.
And you think his brother.
Yeah, because he even at one point, like before they start murdering people, like Bill Paxton just gets these visions and he gets like these people's names and he writes it on a list. So one time, like the brother comes in and he's like, Dad, like God sent me a list too, and it's like written in crayon or whatever, and Bill Paxton has like sit his son down, and like, this is your bully at school or whatever. God didn't really send you a vision to kill these people. And it's like, I like how it's played so straight too, because it's just a dad like trying to like correct a son, but it's so like ridiculous. It seems like God didn't give you a vision, son, to murder these people. He only gave me a vision to murder these people. It's just like, so that's
what's great about that scene though, is like his reaction to that is so tempered and even keeled and matter of fact that it's like, to me, it does this great job of casting doubt on what we've been seeing. Like at that point, he hasn't actually killed anybody. He hasn't done anything. Like we haven't seen anything to indicate one way or the other what's actually happening, other than we kind of err on the side of reality with Fenton. But his like the fact that he like admonishes his kid, like, no, this isn't real. You know, this, you're not talking to God. Like it could be taken both ways. It could be like, this is a dad like who had a real vision and is doing some shit that's trying to keep his son in line, or it's a crazy person who will not let other people run his crazy for him. Like,
but they also do this weird thing too, where like, okay, so, and I agree, like, why would like. It's funny to watch when like Bill Paxton, he's just got these bust ass gloves and this axe, and he's like touching people and he's like shaking around and like making a crazy face. But then at the same time, they have this scene where Bill Paxton, he's like a mechanic and he's just working under his car, and they legit make an angel fly to him, where he's like in this monastery and this ridiculous looking like angel. Like,
that was like this, it looked like Beowulf, the movie Beowulf.
And he's got like this crazy like red curly hair, and like he's kind of, and like I'm just like, what is this movie doing? Like it feels all over the place like sometimes, because even like, man, I really like how I was like really engrossed in the story. Of course, Matthew McConaughey does like a great job like narrating the whole thing. You're like following it along, and he plays it off like, I'm Fenton, I'm the older brother, so like my younger brother, he's telling this story to make it seem like my younger brother was raised up from my dad to believe that we're demon hunters. So you've got a serial killer on your hands. I'm telling you, it's my brother, my younger brother, Adam, because he believed everything that my dad told him. So he's recounting the story of how his dad started murdering people because he thought they were demons. Like,
he also, it's kind of important to say, right as the movie starts, Matthew McConaughey as he's telling him that his brother is this serial killer, he also says that he had just murdered his brother, and after he had done that, he went to the hospital and stole the ambulance with his brother's body in it, and he drove it over to the rose garden that was like by the house.
I don't think he didn't say he murdered his brother. He said his brother killed himself.
Oh,
he did. He did say
and they showed
killed himself.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You're right. So he steals the ambulance of his brother's body and buries him in the rose garden because that was like a promise that he had made to him when they were kids.
Right.
So they live next to this rose garden, like in their house or whatever. It's like a public park or something. And that's where their dad buries the demon / the people he's murdering when they're done with them. And so that's where it plays out, and it just kind of plays out with this whole thing where this boy, the oldest boy, like, I like it too because the father's like insistence that he's doing God's will is what makes the kid like turn away from God. He's like, there is no God, like you're murdering people. So that like juxtaposition is great because it's like he's lost all faith in his dad. He still remains like loyal in a way, like he's always obedient. Like his dad's like, dig this hole, and like the boy digs the hole, and like, but then at one point he finally decides to like turn on his dad, and he tries to tell the sheriff, and of course the sheriff thinks like, oh, like, you're full of shit, little boy. Like, why are you making up shit about your dad? Because they live, like, in a small, southern town or whatever. And, of course, then the dad just murders the sheriff when he brings him home to,
and
like...
And then he blames Fenton for that. Because like, if you tell somebody, somebody's going to die. Which, like, to our mind, as people watching this as he's a crazy father... No, that means it's basically a threat. Like, somebody's going to die if I tell somebody. That sounds like you're fucking threatening me. But if you watch it from the perspective of, I don't know, is he telling the truth? Like, what's going to happen? And it turns out he doesn't kill Fenton because he does. Like, a genuine love exists between his father and his son in this movie. No matter how you slice it, he ends up just axing the cop in the chest or some shit, or in the face or in the head. And it's like, I don't know. I love like this kid has like no recourse for sanity. Like the whole time you're traveling along with him, watching his father do like terrible things and not seeing anything but a silly face that he's putting on every time he touches them. Like he has no reason to believe anything that's going on. And of course he's gonna like hold his dad accountable for like forcing him to dig a hole. He's like, but he holds on to his pride and he says, I'm not going to pray. You can't make me pray about it. I'm going to dig your hole for you. And it's this weird, like, pride moment. And then, like, I guess we can, like, just jumping ahead, we wind up knowing that Fenton is a demon or becomes one and is worthy of being executed on God's behalf. He's put on a list and killed on the behalf of God, supposedly. And, like,
killed by Adam.
That's the most, and killed by Adam, who, as it turns out, is Matthew McConaughey. That's the early 2000s twist of this movie. Yeah.
So the guy Matthew McConaughey comes in saying like, I'm Fenton, my younger brother Adam is the killer, and he's doing it because he grew up with my dad, saying like it's okay to murder people because they're demons. Turns out that actually Matthew McConaughey is Adam, and he does murder people that are actually demons.
Yeah.
And his brother is Fenton, and Fenton is actually the murderer of the people that the cop is looking for, but he's just a serial killer. He just does it because he had to.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah,
so
he ended up, well, because Fenton, what happens is, Bill Paxton says, like, the angel told me you're a demon when he's a boy, when he's still a young boy. And he throws him in a pit for, like, weeks without feeding him and, like, only allowing him to drink, like, one thing of water a day. So he just tortures his son until he's like, God's going to give you a vision. So, of course, the kid's like, God gave me a vision. And so when they go to kill the next person, He's like, you're going to do it, Finn. Like, you have to do it. So his dad has thrown him in a pit and is now making him murder somebody.
His son.
So now Fenton, like, puts the axe through Paxton's chest. He's like, fuck you, Dad. But then the whole spin is like, this is what I didn't like this. And this is where I'm conflicted on this movie. The whole thing is like Adam is like, no, it's true. And then you get to see, like, they touch them. And, like, they've done terrible things. So, like, one person was, like, a pedophile or something. And one chick had, like, murdered somebody. And like, so they're all justified.
And
so,
not
like,
only
all
that,
of this crazy bullshit that you're like, don't torture your son and don't, like, murder people. It's like, oh, it's all justified because it really is God's will. And I was like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I didn't like that fucking twist, because here's what I thought would have been better. What I thought that they were leading to is, like, I would have been okay with the twist of, like, I'm Adam and I am following my brother's work, and Fenton is a serial killer and I murdered my own brother. If they had left out the part where Matthew McConaughey actually touches people and, like, sees, like, their shit, right, and it just left it as, this is a family of murderers who have been, their minds have been warped by their dad, who has murdered people under, like, the guise of God. And one brother went on to murder people because he was literally forced in a pit. And, like, now he's fucked up. And then the other, and he's just doing it because he hates God and, like, he hates what his dad, like, made him do and shit like that. And the other one is a murderer because he thinks he's doing it for God and he thinks he's, like, living up to his father's, like, will or whatever. Like, that would have been great and a huge, like, mind fuck. Like, oh my God, like, how a parent and, like, religion and, like you said, there's no source of, like, sanity. Like, he tries to tell, like, another adult they get murdered and your dad's forcing you in a pen. It's like there's literally, like, no escape from it. But instead they do the whole thing. It's like, oh, it really was God's will. They really were demons. And I'm like,
yeah, and, like, the thing is, like, even up until the point where you see the visions, like, in retrospect, you see, oh, a vision of this particular victim shows that he was killing little girls, or this one killed his mom or whatever. Like, even if they had shown that, I could have, like, you could have made the argument that that was just what was in Adam's head as an adult, that, like, the way they showed that angel to Paxton, you could say that was his delusion. But you can't wave away the fact that when he walked into a fucking FBI building and the cameras recording him refused to record his face.
Yeah, God, like, manipulates the
directly. I mean, it was.
Why?
I mean, I like that as a concept, but I do not like it as the way it fits in the narrative. Why do you like it?
Oh, yeah. Why do you like it?
I liked it because it was surprising. Because up until that point, pretty much what you were describing is what would be the better option there, Juice, for the ending. Was, like, what I was buying into. I was like, okay, none of this stuff is true. Everybody's just crazy, or they're in the process of becoming crazy.
Yeah,
because the dad's lost his mind. So whenever that happened, I was like, oh, shit. Like, they are legitimately protected by God from getting found out because they're trying to fulfill God's will. Like, God literally hired this family of, like, hitmen, basically. I kind of thought that was a cool spin on what I was assuming to be the actual plot.
I thought it was interesting. I never hated it because but, like, the best thing about this movie to me is the conflict between those two ideas and trying to decide yourself for sure what's happening. If they had left it ambiguous, I would have been happier for sure. I definitely see Justin's point on that. But because of what we got, like, I don't hate it. I just feel like that it's a little bit of squandered opportunity there. I also, in terms of, like, actual Fenton murdering people, like, they kind of say that, but they don't really go. That's the part that confuses me about this movie is, like, we see Fenton is, like, tortured and stuff, but he's tortured by somebody who's killing people and he knows it's wrong and he does not participate in killing people, and that's, like, his big crux. So why does he grow up to be a fucking serial killer? Is it just because he's secretly a demon? Because I think
that was the part of
the
it
whole
too.
time.
Yeah.
Like, this was our point of view character. Whether or not it was actually him narrating it, it was the point of view that we were sitting in, and then it turns out that he was actually just a demon. Like, he just some people are just demons and they're real good at tricking you. Like, I don't, like, that's all well and good, but to some extent, but like it just feels like an undercut of the emotional core of the movie. It feels like they scooped it out.
I agree, because you see that the kid, that's the whole thing too, where it's like, yeah, it is God's will, and he just sends you a list and like you're fucked, like there's nothing you can do, because you're right, because then like halfway through the movie when this kid is just doubting his father, he's literally trying to save his brother, he's trying to save his dad. Yeah, he's like being a moral person, and his dad comes in and is like, the angel told me you're a demon. So this whole time, this kid who's just trying to save his brother is being a demon because he's telling his dad not to murder people who are maybe demons. And the whole thing about it is, it's like when the whole reveal too is like Bill Paxton touches people, or like Adam touches people, and they're not demons. They're people who are, I guess, essentially sinning. Yeah, they're
that's horrible thing.
Like, what is a demon? Is a demon actually like? Is it like DJ Elzebub in drag, or is it like from the beginning always sitting there malevolently planning and scheming on how it's going to get one up on people, or are these just people who have faltered and become demons? Because I could see that argument making sense for Fenton, because he was tortured. But the other thing is, like, he's tortured because he doesn't want to kill people. So if he actually had it in him from the beginning to want to kill people, wouldn't he take any excuse he could to stick an axe in somebody?
To kill people, and that's the thing, because obviously maybe you could buy like, oh, he's really a demon and he sees that other demons are getting killed and that's a bad reaction in him. But that he does the same shit when the sheriff gets killed, and the dad's like, that was a human being, and Fenton still is like, what the fuck? You're killing a human being. Like, he's not about it. So it's not.
And Paxton does. He kills a citizen. He kills a moral person, theoretically, or at least not a demon. So he is a murderer outright. So like the lines are very blurred up until the end, where they clearly start trying to crystallize it. And I think if they had just thrown out that crystallization and left it up to the imagination, and just that, like Justin said, like, let you believe that they're all crazy, or let you believe that it's like an angels versus demons situation if you want, which is harder to believe based on how they presented everything. But like, I think that's more interesting, and like that conflict is so much the center of this movie for me. It's that, and it's young Fenton's reaction to shit.
Yeah, it just cheapens it to me. It just cheapens it to be like, no, Fenton was a demon. Like you said, that's the person whose morality, like, that's like our compass. Like, that's who we're with. It's like, nope, he was just a demon the whole time. It's like, it makes so much more impact to see this person who fights the whole time to do what's good, but then is tortured by their dad and is forced, literally, like, to kill their dad. And that is their turning point for then maybe becoming a serial killer later in life. It's like, that's a much more interesting story than, nope, he was a demon.
See, and that's like he
was just a demon.
The real, like the
what?
The actual structure of this movie, I think, are real, like the bits and pieces, the nuts and bolts of it. They don't always hold together, but I really like the ending structure. You know what I mean? Like, I love like the bell curve, the climax. I love how it all just, like, it's so fun to watch, and like
it is.
The
acting
fun to
is
watch,
so
capable, and like it makes it for a really, like, I think Paxton nails it, to be honest. Like, I think he's got plenty of range. Like, like, I mean, he's like, listen, like, think about what Bill Paxton.
I'm not saying I don't enjoy. I enjoyed Bill Paxton in this movie, but I mean, you gotta say, like,
isn't a word I would use.
Yeah, dude's not a character actor. I mean, the dude is like Bill Paxton, like a little ramped up, a little ramped down.
He's both a character actor and a leading man. So at points, usually a character actor, but like, he's fucking Coconut Pete in Club Dread. He's fucking what's his name from Near Dark?
Forgot about that.
Yeah, he's in fucking Tombstone. He's fucking, this guy's in. He's so Apollo 13 and Alien. Think about that. Aliens, he plays the Game Over Man guy. In Apollo 13, he plays a real fucking astronaut. That's good enough for me for range. And he does.
Dude, I love some Bill Paxton. You don't have to tell me.
I got to defend the man's honor a little.
Let's not forget about Twister, okay?
Dude, the hips
Twister,
really lie in that movie.
Clear classic.
But yeah, so like I think that Justin and I are in agreement that, like, this is, and Rob maybe to some extent, like it just doesn't. it's almost like they had the twist like in mind because it was just the era where twists had to happen in your movie, and they just kind of justifying it came secondary to the shock of it, which is the cataclysm that so many movies of that era really fell into. But the good news for this movie is just how good every individual component is. Like all the material is good. Like all the ingredients, it's a better ingredients, not better pizza. It just could be.
Also, yeah, I think that twist suffers from like its time too, because like even like Constantine was a movie that came out like around then, and like even like movies like The Matrix, like the good versus the evil, like it was still in a time where religion like still wanted to come out on top, I guess, where it went like that's what it feels
Maybe.
weird to me now at like 2019, like nope, it was God's will. It was
Right,
like,
it does,
they were demon. It's just like
So,
it
like,
feels
murdering all these people, including your brother.
that justification feels just as crazy as like the dad saying we're gonna hunt demons. Like the logic of it is like it doesn't make any sense.
How many
as a movie
do we know of that like that use that as their justification for killing people? Are we really gonna sit here and say that fucking
it's a problem in real life?
Yeah, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know that we want to like, I don't know. It feels like maybe that's what the shock of it's supposed to be is like, oh my God, Son of Sam really talked to a dog. But like, I don't think so. I don't think that if you watched a movie where that happened, it wouldn't be taken as a comedy.
Because also too, it comes down, Matthew McConaughey is Adam, and he's the one alive, and he spends his life as the sheriff of the town.
Right.
So he's just killing people
as he so foreboding. And the thing is, at that point, you should, by all accounts, be rooting for him, and it doesn't feel that way at all.
It doesn't. Or because you really shouldn't be, because
he's got a God. Must be a vengeful God, because it's not fucking Christian God. It's like, I don't know, man.
Weird. Yeah,
it's
that twist. That's weird.
And I think it's a little underbaked in terms of what the end result of everything is. But the process of getting there is so great. And
I agree. Yeah, I enjoyed watching him.
Actor that played Fenton, I thought he fucking nailed it. That kid did a great fucking job.
Even like the Adam kid, like he wasn't called to do as much, but like he was convincing as like the naive younger brother. Like I mean, I think everybody did a good job.
And then there was the one kid who said, "I'd sure like to see her tits," about Daisy. I love that kid.
Did you guys, when you were watching this, something about like the cinematography or like the way the movie was colored, or it felt like it had sort of a made for TV like feel.
It felt older to me than it was. Like I was like, oh, this is 2001, but it felt like it was like a 92 movie or something. Like just like kind of the look of it. It felt kind of cheap. Yeah, it did feel like
the whole movie felt that way, but definitely like the flashback or not the flashbacks, the when you're watching the demon, like when you're seeing people's sins at the end, and it's like weird, like low frame rate, like sepia tone, and Powers and way too much makeup with crazy sideburns and a leisure suit. It doesn't look good at that point. But I do love Powers Booth. Powers Booth is like such a he's the worst FBI agent in history in this movie. Go home. This guy just told me that he has his brother's dead body and a stolen ambulance out front. But
I read all of that very bad decision making as like God's just protecting him at that point, right? Like
I guess you could say that. Yeah,
he's covered. And also come to find out that the FBI agent killed his mom, and that's why Matthew McConaughey is there telling him this whole story, so that he'll follow him out the Rose Garden, so he can just murder him and bury him there.
That's the whole point.
He's a demon.
But that's the whole thing too, is like Matthew McConaughey like doesn't even have to do anything. Like that's the whole thing. It's like, hey, God's gonna protect me no matter what I do. I'm gonna walk in this FBI thing. Oh, God's gonna scramble the television. Oh, like I'm gonna let everybody see my face. Oh,
I'll never be able to remember it.
You just have to believe.
Oh my God.
That's it.
Bob.
Ye of little faith, Soju. You bashas.
The other thing, okay, so going back
Saint
to
Bob
Fenton for
over
a second.
here.
Going back to Fenton for a second, because we talked about like it doesn't makes sense for him to be a killer. But like, here's the thing: Adam is a killer, and he's been getting lists all these years to kill people. And when they find when they like go to Fenton's house or whatever, and they raid it, and they find Powers Booth's FBI badge in the basement, and they apparently find bodies down there. Was that really Fenton's doing, or was that those Adam's victims that he's pinning on his brother now that he managed?
No, Adams. He specifically says, "I bury all my people in the rose garden."
Right.
I know, but he's also lying most of that time. Like,
and I guess you could take that as if they had left it a little more ambiguous, you could probably maybe spin it that way, and you still like maybe could.
you could force it, but I don't think it really
yeah,
plays that well.
They didn't. Yeah,
that to me is why I was confused, because to me it's like almost a block for me. I just can't see that kid Fenton becoming a person who goes around and just kills people indiscriminately because he was tortured into killing people for being demons.
He had tattoos, Randy. Okay, he was drinking alcohol when we saw him.
Yeah,
okay?
So and that's
a real piece of shit.
That was the thing. It's so ridiculous, like, because then Adam finally gets his brother's name on the list. The whole twist is like, then he has permission to kill him. He like shows up at his house, and at this point, apparently, I guess he's a serial killer. And it's just like the way he's presented. He's like got a tattoo on his arm. He's in like a wife beater.
Tattoo of Jesus Christ.
He's drinking directly from the bottle of Jim Beam, and like his brother is justified in shooting him in the back of the head, and you're like, it's just like,
why would God?
No, he used the axe
so long.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Why would God wait so long before he put his brother's name on a list? Like, if you know he's a demon,
the Lord works in mysterious ways, and he
let him kill all these people, and then be like, all right, I guess he can kill now.
The Lord files things in a mysterious way.
He especially has never misfiled anything in his life.
The angel already told Bill Paxton that he was a demon, so he's
not
been
on
a demon for 20 years.
He didn't write it down.
He didn't write it on the list.
The hand of the Lord did not write
on his fucking 99-cent notebook.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That whole thing, like, to me, it like I read it as okay. Well, there's no way that Fenton actually became a serial killer.
Got some shitty handwriting.
Dude, guys,
just say
fuck, dude.
Fenton, who's that?
Come on,
work on your penmanship there.
At least give me a nice, hardback or something, a little journal, leather bound.
Give me a moleskin at least.
I don't know, man.
A Mont Blanc, I mean, come on.
I tied 10%. Come on. At least you can do is give me a moleskin.
Some new gloves. Damn,
this ain't no pay to prosper, God. This is Otis, the axe wielding God.
It was so funny too, and he was like, "We have our final weapon from God," and it's just this lead pipe.
It did. It landed.
What is this, Clue?
Yeah. I was like, okay, so no candlestick.
These are our 3 weapons, and it's like these busted ass gloves.
Did you notice the
lead
axe?
Pipe.
The axe said Otis on it. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a name or is that like an axe brand? I don't know.
I can answer that question.
Oh, we got some trivia.
Nice.
You want to do it now, or you want to do it during trivia?
Yeah, go ahead and mention it now because you said you had a lot of trivia anyway.
I have a good amount of trivia. So first and foremost, from a filmmaking perspective, that Otis was written on there so that you could visibly tell that Matthew McConaughey was holding the same axe and that it was passed down, and it wasn't just an axe, but that he was carrying on the Lord's work, et cetera, et cetera. So Paxton said he wanted the axe to have its own personality and be unique. He found the name in Pasadena when he was there scouting for locations to film. Paxton met a homeless man and offered to give him some money. The homeless man did not want charity, so Paxton instead offered to buy the use of the man's name for his movie. The homeless man's name was Otis. So he just wanted a way to visibly like break that down. And there are people I've read that like read into it as like being an acronym for Only the Innocent Survive and all sorts of stuff. But this is coming from Bill Paxton's mouth himself as the director of this movie. So I got to trust that he just wanted some sort of visible signifier. And, it's not a brand or anything. It's just something. Yeah. I mean, he could have just tied red tape at the edge of it or something, but that's what he chose to do.
That's a really cool story, actually.
Because
Bill Paxton is a dope guy.
Sounds
like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Even that scene where he finds the axe, where it's like God spoke to him, and it's like this beam of light, and it's just like the axe. He's got to pick up the gloves. Him explaining the gloves was like really funny to me.
Like, I don't know what these are for.
It's like, now I know what the gloves are for. You know, when I take them off, and it's like, why do you gotta wait? Why do you gotta wait? Why are you gonna beat somebody in the head with a lead pipe, tie them up, carry them to your house wearing these fucking gloves, and then touch them to see that they're a demon? What if you touched them and you were like, oh shit, they're not a fucking let me just carry them back. They're in your fucking basement, they seen your kids.
Wait a minute. Are you Powers S booth?
Damn.
No. Powers Q booth.
Your penmanship, Lord.
If you would have bought me the moleskin.
Type it out next time. This shit's illegible.
But yeah.
Get a secretary.
I'd do anything to see her teeth. I love that kid. That fat kid is like, did you watch The Hazard last night? And I love that he says that line, but he doesn't just say it like, you know, he doesn't just like deliver the line. He does it like he's like getting away with something, which is very kid-like. He's like, I'd do anything to see her tits. Watch that scene again. It is fucking hilarious.
I just want you to talk like that for the remainder of every show.
I'd do anything to show you my tits.
Oh, Randy.
We're getting into something here. Hotline really Scream just
$3.99 a minute.
It's the fact that he says the word tits like it has two E's in it. It's great. Tits.
It's got two E's.
Says her like it's spelled HURR. I do anything to say her tits. That fucking kid is a hero.
Oh, Randy.
Meltdown. Is there anything else we need to touch on before we rate Frailty?
I don't think so.
I'm good.
All right. I'm good. Randy, Mr. Good, how you feeling about Frailty out of 5?
I love this movie a lot. Like, I liked it a lot growing up. I have a lot more critiques of it now than I did then, just because I've seen a lot more fucking movies. I have a lot more like context for this shit. And I would say that based on my current viewing, it probably drops like a half a point, but I still really love the components of this thing, and I would watch it again. I think that it's fucking amazing. I think is this Bill Paxton's first directorial debut, or
you're the trivia man, right?
Let me look that up real quick. But yeah,
I
think he did a great job. Like, maybe it does look a little dated, but like I don't know. To me, the whole like drama of Fenton is what makes this movie fucking great. And I like it. I want more people to know of it, and I want it to be looked at a little bit more often. I don't know. I've gushed a little bit too much maybe, but yeah, my big critiques being what we talked about, that it sort of ends on a very like vengeful God Christian outlook, which is troubling. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's intentional. That's like, well, God wants people to die for their sins horribly. Maybe it's the Westboro Baptist Church version of hell. And like, I don't know. But to me, it just reads as like, oh my God, like is this supposed to make me feel better? What's happening? So that falls short for me. Some of the nuts and bolts of what actually happens with adult Fenton kind of fall short from earlier, a little bit hard for me to read, but not really in an enigmatic, ambiguous way, just sort of in a I'm not sure if I understood this correctly way. So all that's, I think Bill Paxton nailed it. I think the kid who played Fenton nailed it. I think McConaughey does as well as McConaughey always does. And I think that fucking Powers Booth is one of the most fucking riveting people to watch. That voice is so goddamn good. It's a shame. Both of them passed away in the same year. It's a shame.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2017. Paxton and Powers Booth both passed.
Really? It feels like Paxton's been gone much longer than that. It was just 2 years ago, huh?
Just 2 years ago.
Damn.
But yeah, so all that said, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I would have given it a 4 had I not watched it again this week, but I did, and I'll give it a 3.5. It's still a great movie, and I'd still keep it on my shelf for sure.
Keep it on your shelf. What was your rating, Randy?
3.5.
3.5. All right. Juice, how you feel out of 5?
I did enjoy watching this movie. I don't love it. I'm glad we've talked it through a little bit, and it just sours for me at the end. If I feel like I I don't know. I would have enjoyed a lot more had it not ended the way it did. And I think it just cheapens. I think the problem is it cheapens everything else I saw along the way. I really enjoyed the journey, and then the destination was just kind of a shithole, and that's disappointing. And uh, um, damn it, Randy.
Just derailed.
Distracting everybody.
I just derailed
Randy's
Juice so
just-
good.
So I thought the acting was good. I always enjoy seeing Paxton. Matthew McConaughey did good, especially like as the narrator too. He's just got one of those kind of voices, and but yeah, just I don't the whole like it's okay to murder people because God protects you, and that's kind of the whole point. And here's the thing: it's possible that they were using that as like not a good thing. It's possible that, like we talked about, that maybe they're saying like, oh, it's supposed to leave you unsettled, but that's not how it was really presented. So if that's the case, then I feel like they failed kind of on that mark as well. So either they like that was their point and that sucks, or they wanted it to like kind of leave a pit in your stomach or whatever, but they didn't present it well enough to do that. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna end it at a 2.5. 2.5 stars.
Cool. I think I fall kind of somewhere between you guys. I think
Like a 3, maybe?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 3. I mean, it could have been a 2.7.
I'm no mathematician, but
69 minus 3.75.
That's
right, Bob?
That's my rating. That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie, like, I enjoy the story of it. That's definitely like the best part about it. It's like got some twisties, but they don't feel like super cheap. Like they're just trying to pull the carpet out from under you, or
Really?
yeah. I don't know. For some reason, because like I just didn't expect any of them, and as it happened, I was like, oh, okay, that's fucking
Okay.
that's a little nuts.
I think it's just played so well. The acting is just, to me, strong enough to where you don't necessarily see, at least for me, it was like the first time I saw it, I was completely blindsided, even in that era where like everything was twisty. And I was just like, oh my God, like this whole, I can't believe that I didn't, like, I couldn't possibly see this coming. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
I don't know, and it was because the acting was it felt so real to me.
Yeah. Paxton does a good job like playing everything very straight and flat. And it's funny to me that that's what he has chosen to do for himself, because when Bill Paxton like really shines, he's going big, and you're like, man, that dude's swinging for the fucking fences. He's like acting outside of this fucking TV screen, but he just chooses to play it very straight. And I guess that serves the plot. Like, there's a reason that he made those choices. But it's interesting that like it's a movie that he has chosen to direct and also star in, and that's what he chose for himself to do. He didn't want to be big. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. Maybe it tells a little more about him and his like personality, I guess.
To that end, real quick, I just want to say that this was his first directorial. This is his directorial debut for full motion picture. The only other one he ever made was The Greatest Game Ever Played in 2005, featuring Shia LaBeouf as a young kid playing golf. A weird spin on the Paxton legacy.
Maybe he's a big golfer. I don't know.
Oh, it was written by Mark Frost too. That's strange. How did I not know about this? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy the movie aesthetically too much. Like, it just had a weird old look to it that I wasn't really down with. But I like the story. I like the acting, and like the fact that it was all legit didn't really like detract too much from the overall plot for me. I know that was kind of a problem for you guys. So yeah, I'll come in out of 3. Our aggregate is going to be a 3 even. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Frailty. Take it away, Juice.
All right, let's hop into our Rotten Tomato score, which I definitely have up and ready to go.
Let's not stretch this out, guys. We don't need to stall or
week.
take time. Bob,
So
please stop stalling us here.
Let me explain the rules if this is your first time listening. This is our Rotten Tomatoes segment where we're going to go around the table, and Rob and Randy are first going to try to guess what they think the critics rated this movie. After they guess, they will then try to guess the audience score. In between those two guesses, I will also read the critic consensus for this film. Is everybody
There's no
ready?
Way you're still pulling this up. Like, you have to have it up by now.
How do you spell Rotten Tomatoes, Justin?
Is everyone ready to play the game?
Well,
ready to play the game. All right, just another minute or so, and
my dial-up is really lagging tonight.
Oh boy, really, Alta Vista's really chugging wind right now.
All right, so let's start. We're starting with the critic score. Critics 151 total count. Randy, kick us off. What do you think critics rated Frailty?
I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm going to keep it probably in line with what we said about it. And I will give it, what is that? I'm doing some dumb math in my head. I guess I'll put it at a 75.
75. All right. Rob, what do you think the critics rated Frailty?
This is kind of hard to say, so I'm just going to play it safe and do the straight chilling special, 69.
69.
The comedy number is in play.
All right. Rob, good choice going with the 69, except you still lost because Randy got it.
Simon Cowell, you got like a
so close. Well, no, hang on. Randy got so close. It is certified fresh. I know we were talking about this last week. Like, what's the cutoff? So this gives us a little more clarity. It is certified fresh with a 74. So Rob was close, but Randy was too close. So 74% certified fresh for Frailty. The critic consensus is creepy and disturbing. Frailty is well-crafted, low-key horror. So pretty short and sweet there. There's the poster for this has like a big face on it, and I can't tell who it is.
I never could either. I hate that.
It's nuts that it's not Bill Paxton or Matthew McConaughey. I don't think, but
I'm pretty sure that's Matthew McConaughey.
Is it?
I think so.
He's very dark in it, but
yeah. The shot is just.
I just looked up Frailty poster, and there is a much better poster in what I believe is Japanese, but is certainly an Asianic language. There's a better poster for it.
I could tell you, Randy. All right, so let's do the audience score. Oozer rating very high because this was back in the day when you didn't have to do some bullshit or rate some movies. Oozer rating 53,173. Back in the day, that would have been a low number too. These days, it's high. Rob, we'll start with you. We'll let you pick first this time. What do you think the Oozers think of Frailty?
Oozers probably close to the critics on this one, I would think. I feel like most people would probably dig this movie. So I'll go with the 75. I'll steal Randy's number.
75. And Randy, where are you going to take it?
I think there's probably a lot of Paxton stands in that outfit, so I'm going to go with an 85.
85. Rob got it with the 75 this time. It's an audience score of 78, so close to the critics, just slightly higher. 78. So overall, this is a well thought of movie. People are enjoying this. I was just trying to look at some top critics of a positive and negative nature. One negative. Frailty is disturbing, all right, but then so is sticking needles in your eyes. And I wouldn't recommend either. Damn.
Well, eat my whole
All right,
butthole.
Eminem.
Bill Paxton's directing debut stands alone in a horror genre currently infested with pert teens and knowing plot ticks.
Pert teens is a phrase I could live without ever hearing.
PERT teens and knowing plot ticks. I don't even like how that is. Thanks, Guardian. That's a top critic. Zan Brooks says.
I don't think, all things considered, I still don't think we should be blasting out actual critics' names and giving them shit when we're hosting this show. But whatever.
Well, I know.
We're
if
not
people
professionals,
say,
Randy. We've never claimed to be.
If
No, we
people
have
quoted
not.
if people quoted what I said, then yeah, it'd probably look pretty fucking dumb too.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. So that was our rotten Rotten Tomatoes segment that we had ready prepared.
I'm just like, I'm sitting here looking at these posters and I'm thinking about what you said, Justin, like your better version that you gave. And even the name of this movie and some of these posters work so much better for what you're describing. There's this one other poster that's literally just the axe and a bit of wood with like a spotlight on it. And the tagline says, "Sins of the father are now those of the sons." And I think that works so much better for what you described. And also just the name Frailty, like to my, like, maybe it's just me, but my mind immediately jumps to the phrase frailty of the mind, which is like, if this is a movie about people who are insane, which I mean, either way it is to some degree, or like you think it is for a majority of it. I mean, that works so much better if the whole family has frail minds that have been frayed by each other. That's, I don't know.
I think
I
that poster's Japanese, Randy.
Yeah, I thought so. Nailed it.
Way to go, Randy.
Good job.
Yeah, it is cool though. It's a cool poster.
Let's go ahead and get into some trivia. Take it away, Randy.
So there is a little bit of trivia on here for sure. Paxton managed to record an audio commentary that seems to have provided a lot of this, so it's a lot from his perspective. But there's also some interesting things in here.
If we had the steel book, we would know, right, Bob?
The steel case, blue book case steel.
I don't have it.
Exactly. That's what happens when you don't have it. You know,
Screen
you have
Factory,
to listen to
get
Randy
off your
tell
shit.
it instead of Bill Paxton.
Yeah, my hips lie, so it's not as good. Here we go. First of all, you may notice that they used a pretty old-looking beer can in this movie, and it was an authentic Hamm's beer can from 1979, and it was the only one they could find. So they used it throughout the entire movie, and they popped it off screen a lot. So it's a little fun thing. Directors James Cameron, Sam Raimi, and author Stephen King all singled out Frailty for high praise. King considered it one of the best horror movies of its year. I could see that for sure.
2001. I mean, that's fine.
It's not a crowded field, okay? So this is speaking to the title of the film also. At the title credit in the writer commentary, Brent Hanley says, quote, "Frailty to me was always about the frailty of perception and the frailty of morality, the frailty of right and wrong." At around 2 minutes, he adds, "I like the idea of an abstract title." No shit. But yeah, this is also like at a time where like people were like The Matrix Reloaded and shit. Like movies had a lot more verbose titles, it seemed like. But then Screams of the world started coming out, and it was the single word fad, and it's still going, I guess. Powers Booth and Bill Paxton are also both in Tombstone and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Both actors died in 2017. So they became buddies on the set of Tombstone, I read. And that's a shame. That's a good movie, too, by the way. Bill Paxton made this film for multiple viewings. Quote, "The first time you sit through Frailty, you get pulled into the story kind of subjectively, and there's this whole kind of creep factor. But on your second viewing, there's a lot of satisfaction as there are a lot of clues laid out in front of the viewer." I mean, I don't know how many clues there are, but I don't know. This is interesting. The town was originally set to be Tyler, Texas, which is a real East Texas town. That he didn't want the film to tie the film's horrific crimes to a real place. Or they have a public rose garden in this town, and he worried that they'd, quote, get a bunch of goths out there in the middle of the night digging around. The movie comes out. So they changed the fiction. Just a bunch of
I love that.
Bill Paxton's
I don't want a bunch of goths digging up the roses.
infested with goths.
Damn goths.
The rose garden's infested with goths.
Not again, damn it.
We just sprayed.
We just, we just.
If
we
I could
only
tell you
water
how
roses
many
with holy
times
water.
I've seen a squad of goths just infest a rose garden.
It's a herd of them.
If there's anyone out here named Persephone, get the hell out.
There's a murder of goths in the garden.
A murder of goths. I love that.
A gaggle.
This is also
Made for life, you know.
Let's see. The script was originally featured a reference to the boys wanting to go see the movie Alien, which came out in '79, but Paxton changed it to the Warriors to avoid the reference to his own work in Aliens. Damn it, Paxton. Should have left it.
I know, he should have.
Might as well. I guess it wasn't the movie he was in, but whatever.
I'm gonna go see Meatballs again. I'm like,
So this is
"Shut
interesting
up.
too. Bill
We're
Paxton.
going to see the Warriors.
The Warriors, damn it.
Shut up.
Bill Paxton planned to have Demon's crimes shown when Dad first touched them. At James Cameron's suggestion, he changed this so the information is a surprise that comes at the end. Cameron said to him, quote, "You got to remember this film is so literal that you're going to split the audience, and a lot of them are going to believe that the dad is really seeing all this stuff, and you don't want that to happen because you want them to go with Fenton." The goal with the dad's vision was to leave viewers siding with the boy's doubt in understanding that the man, quote, had a weird dream, or he's had a brain aneurysm, or he slipped a disc here. His dad obviously is having some kind of psychotic episode. So
See, James Cameron knows. That
James
dude's like
Cameron-
obviously a baller director. This is Bill Paxton's first.
I mean,
Yeah.
Cameron's
Done well.
got his faults, but that was a good call.
Yeah.
Let's see. Night of the Hunter was a big inspiration for screenwriter Brent Hanley when he wrote the script. Paxton saw the film on the big screen in Amsterdam and was surprised to see that the kid's kitchen in that film was nearly identical to the one in his own movie. So that's interesting. So that movie, have you guys seen Night of the Hunter? Oh, watch that shit. It's good.
That's a weird correlation. Like, oh, look at that kitchen.
It's just I'm sure it's just something he brought up organically in the commentary.
Yeah.
Paxton's son James was on set during the classroom scenes calling action and cut. Family man Paxton. Call him. The bit this is great, Justin. You're going to like this. The bit where Dad touches the woman with his bare hands and reacts was originally shot with a static camera, but it, quote, looked like Plan 9 from outer space, so they redid it with handheld movements. So it could have looked a lot worse.
God, his face, I love. Like he's just trying to sell it as best he can. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when we were talking about like the endless directors, where they're like, "Look, just out of screen, an amazing monster." I mean, that's what it was like.
Shit.
Bill Paxton seeing some crazy shit, but he's clearly just twitching around and making a ridiculous face.
Just off camera. It's all my friends.
Just in my mind, it's wild. I'm telling you.
Criticism regarding how empty the FBI office building is, even at night, with people saying there should be at least visible security guards. Paxton points out that some of the argument stems from the film opening less than a year after 9/11, while the film was actually shot in late 2000. Quote, "I don't know," he adds. Quote, "To me, it was always one of those creepy stories, and I didn't really want all the extra people standing around. I wanted to keep it as kind of a mood piece." All right. Well, I mean, you went through the trouble of showing, like, video surveillance footage and how it fucked up. Like, you're showing a lot of granular detail of how this works. So, I mean, clearly you're dedicated to some version of reality. I don't know. I think that's...
Even when that cop, like, looks him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, at the very end, Matthew McConaughey, and you're like, oh, shit, he's not going to be sold on, like, this God thing. He's going to be like, wait, it's you. And then it's like, nope, I don't even remember you. It's like, oh, my God.
That's right.
It's some weak sauce.
The bespectacled man and soon-to-be victim in the car is played by Paxton's longtime acting coach, Vincent Chase. So, see, fucking hiring your friends and your mentors. That's good man. Let's see.
Sure. I'd hire you guys on my movie.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
I'm busy. I got a thing.
You can say something about teats, Randy.
This this movie is loosely based on the case of the American serial killer Joseph Callinger, who murdered 3 people and tortured 4 families. He committed these crimes with his 13-year-old son Michael between 1974 and 75 in New Jersey. Callinger pleaded insanity, claiming God had told him to kill.
See,
Yeah,
there you go.
it's a real life fucking problem.
Fucking Jersey.
Yeah.
Classic.
I'm going to skip a few of these lesser bits. The last thing I'm going to mention is great. The soundstage work here was filmed opposite the production of Legally Blonde. Quote, I would come out all covered in blood and see Reese Witherspoon in her pink Chanel outfits holding her poodle and just say, hi, how's work going today? Which is a great visual. Thank you, Bill Paxton.
I like it.
There you go.
How's work going today, Reese?
Was
Reese
Bill
is like, what the-
Paxton, was he a Mighty Joe Young?
I'll look it up.
I do not know.
Do y'all remember that movie?
I do, but not
really.
well.
It was like kind of like King
Yeah, he
Kong,
was.
but he was like real small. He was like
Let's just
a
go through
giant gorilla, but not giant enough. He was just like
was a real big
just
gorilla.
like pretty big.
Pretty big gorilla movie. He's like
That's a pretty
Prince
big
Kong.
gorilla.
But not like
pretty
King
big.
Kong. Like King Kong, like climb a
Prince-
building. Like
he's
Mighty
Prince-
Joe Young, I don't think could climb a building. He was just like just big.
Then Twister, The Last Supper, True Lies, Apollo 13, Tombstone,
Strange
Tales from
story
the
to tell.
Crypt, The Vagrant, Predator 2, Brain Dead. God damn, this man's in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Let's go hunting. I think it's time that we go hunting. Cooter of the week.
We got that good bump and not that boo boo bump.
Nah, it's a problem.
Boo, boo.
Justin, why don't you tell people what constitutes a cooter?
All right. So let's hunt some cooters. This is a character type. We're looking for 4 points here. We got attire, we've got smug arrogance, sexual deviancy, and manipulation. I've done this so many times, I'm not forgetting that 4th point anymore.
Nice.
Just, kick them off like that. There wasn't a lot of strong cooters in this one, but I have one that I think is kind of funny. Did you guys have any strong front runners?
Not particular. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
not really.
I guess some of the victims, but it's kind of tough because you don't get to know them that well. They're just kind of murdered.
Do you guys know who I might be talking about?
I'm thinking. I'm trying to
Kind
think
of
of who
a
it
funny-
might be.
That got me.
Is it?
A good little chuckle.
I like her tits.
It's not I like her tit. It's not a 12-year-old boy who likes to look at tits.
Damn it. Yeah, I guess that's kind of shooting fish in a
God,
barrel.
if that was a cooter, good lord. The one that kind of caught my eye in this movie, so there's no real strong cooters, but something that was kind of funny to me was the last potential victim, where instead, no, I guess he does end up being a victim. So it's after Fenton gets thrown in the pit, he comes out, he's like, "Oh God, talk to me." And it's the one that Fenton's supposed to kill. So they go and they get this guy and they knock on his door and they ask him for a tire iron or whatever. And
reacts so great to his wife saying who's at the door or whatever.
Yeah, one, he's got kind of a ridiculous outfit on. His shirt that he's wearing is this weird material. It's kind of like mesh, but it's not completely see-through. It's one of those blatant 90s. Yeah, it's very tight. So I was like, "Ooh, that's a cooter shirt right there." And of course he acts like a huge piece of shit. What his wife says, "Who is it?" And he's just like, "Shut up, you dumb piece of shit," or something. And then he does the lean over and he's like, "Women, am I right?" Or something.
Sometimes you just gotta beat the shirt off.
God damn.
Sometimes.
I'm playing a role here.
I got it.
Okay.
And then And then so he had a bit of like some smug arrogance. He was kind of treating them like shit. Like, what the fuck do you want? And so, like tire iron and like I don't know. So just a little.
With the gloves, asshole.
Just a little bit, just a little blip on the Cooter radar in this movie, where otherwise I don't think there was a Cooter. Rob's loose. You got it, Bob?
Andy,
Randy's trolling. Yeah, Randy's trolling again.
I'm doing it.
Let me see her teeth. So I don't know.
That's probably the best option, I guess, considering that everybody.
I would say he's.
I guess like Adam or Fenton, like the real Fenton, actually ends up being a serial killer, I guess. So, but that's all we know about him. Yeah, we don't like know anything about him really. So, yeah.
Serial killers have a pathos, and we have no idea what Fenton's would be.
That's true. Hard to say. Cooter light movie for sure.
Cooter light. Yeah.
Cooter light. 95 calories.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of horror news. We're reading all about it today here at Straight Chilling. So we got a few news stories out this week. The first one I want to mention is glorious news. So The Haunting of Hill House is coming to Blu-ray, which is kind of a rarity for any Netflix property.
Thank God.
There's only a handful that they put out on physical media there. But The Haunting of Hill House is coming out, and there's going to be an extended director's cut by Mike Flanagan, which is interesting because as far as I understand, the way Netflix kind of rolls is like what's on there. It's pretty much what the director wanted to make. Like they don't really say you got to cut X, Y, Z out. You know, they just give you money and they say go make
especially
it.
For
they
Netflix
really do seem kind of
show.
hands off, but I don't know.
Yeah. So I wonder what he took out of it or was asked to take out of it, or I don't know what it would be. But I'm interested to watch it for sure, just because even if nothing was put back in it, and I mean, it's totally worth a rewatch. That fucking show is dope.
Totally worth a rewatch.
I've already rewatched
on
it.
Blu-ray for sure.
Yeah, I might check out the Blu-ray on that one. I might dip into my
It will
jet ski
look better
for that one.
Yeah, it does legitimately look better on Blu-ray or 4K than it does on streaming. It's just a fact. It's just a fact.
Just a fact. That's not an opinion. It looks better. It's not an opinion.
Does. No, like
I think VHS
actually does look better.
Uh-huh.
VHS,
Better or worse are not opinion words. Those are facts.
No. Like the resolution is not up for debate. It looks better.
Really?
So the resolution is higher, Bob.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it looks better.
Rob.
Oh my God.
Some people like grain in their movie, Bob. Okay.
Maybe it looks more clear is appropriate, Bob.
Grain
Better.
I like grain too, but not in something that's brand new, of course. That was
really been whipping Rob
shot
hard
on
this last
video.
episode.
Oh God. Anyway, so that's coming out. We don't have a definitive release date yet. Hopefully, it comes out like September, October, something. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, hopefully.
Just time for Halloween. The new season is coming out sometime in 2020. If I had to guess, it'd probably be like next October, but who knows? They might do a random like July release, spooky time in July.
Maybe we're going to go into this, or maybe I forgot and we already did, but I'm just going to go and say they announced that the second season is Haunting at Bly Manor.
We talked about it a while ago, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and it's based on Turn of the Screw. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't know if maybe I wasn't on that episode or something, or I just forgot. But yeah, I like that they're still going to literary sources. I was a little bit concerned that they would try to start something of their own, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's a little bit not in the spirit of the original to me. Even though the original, they're not sticking so hard to even Hill House. Like they really kind of like deviated from that story substantially. So, but they're just keeping the characters and things like that. I think that's a nice way to keep it same but different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gives them a lot to work with without having to like toil so hard to like come up with literary genius like in a year span or whatever.
Yeah. it seems as though they're gonna do kind of like an American Horror Story thing, where they bring a lot of the same actors back. They'll just be portraying different characters.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's gonna, based on like what Flanagan was saying, is they're in production on this, and he was like, I guess so far it's like much scarier than the first season, which admittedly, like the first season rolls out kind of slowly, and you're really getting to know the characters, and there's not a ton of scares up front.
It's pretty scary.
I thought it was a pretty scary movie. Some people really don't think so, but I think it was like it didn't have as many jump scares, but until kind of towards the end, or as many startle scares.
Damn, I want to watch this like right now.
So do I. I'm very interested.
Let's stop. Let's just call it a day.
Right, we're calling it. Bye.
Goodbye.
Keep chilling. Bye.
So we got a couple trailers I want to talk about here. So we got a movie called Candy Corn that's coming out this September. It's Randy is so distracting. It's directed by Josh Hasties, who previously directed a making of like documentary of Rob Zombie's 31, which I have not seen the documentary. I've seen the movie, and it's just a pile of shit.
Wait, he made a documentary about Rob Zombie's
like
shitty movie?
A bonus feature, right?
It's like the making of, kind of deal. But so this movie is coming out September 13th. It's going to have like a limited theatrical release, and then it's going to be on Blu-ray and VOD on September 17th. So we don't have to wait too long to see it. It's got Courtney Gaines in it from Children of the Corn. It's got PJ Souls from Halloween and Carrie. It's got Tony Todd, who is Candyman and The Crow, and Pancho Moeller, who was in Rob Zombie's 31, and also in American Horror Story is going to be in it as well. It looks kind of like there's like a traveling circus, and they come to town, and there's a small person who lives in the town. They kind of like hire to be part of the sideshow, and he's got makeup on and stuff. And I guess like there's this annual hazing of this person every year. The like bullies rough him up on Halloween Eve or some shit. So they go to the carnival to rough him up. And it seems as though he unleashes some sort of spell, and the dead rise, and I assume like murder the fuck out of these bullies that are coming to give him a hard time. I don't know. What do you guys think about the trailer?
It seemed like the guy who gets roughed up died, and like his friend seeks revenge, and so he calls him back from the dead. That's what I thought. Yeah, the ringleader, like I don't think he brings somebody back from the dead. I think he creates a creature, is what of some kind, which is making people not unwarrantedly make a lot of comparisons between this movie and Pumpkinhead. That's what I thought. Like immediately, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think of it immediately until I but I only saw the poster at first, and I read like, how is this like Pumpkinhead? It sounds nothing like Pumpkinhead. You've got a circus and shit. Like that's nothing to do with it. But then I like when you see the trailer and you see a grotesque creature exacting vengeance on behalf of somebody, like that's pretty close. And it's also a Halloween centric movie, which is that's the thing that makes me excited about it. And I'll tell you, like the trailer didn't look so hot to me. It was kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't hitting too many of my pleasure buttons. It makes a lot of sense to me that it comes from like the Rob Zombie camp of horror making, which is not obviously. But all that said, like the one thing that like really like got me going and got me interested in the first place is the fucking poster. The poster for this movie is definitely one of my favorite posters I've seen this year. I gotta look it up. It's great. It's a really nice illustrated poster. It's very I don't even say it's not like an 80s illustrated poster or anything like that necessarily. It's just spooky and like good. Somebody online compared it to like a Goosebumps cover, but it's like more intricate, interesting, like more adult than that, I would say. Which I mean, and I love the Goosebumps covers. Like it's that is good. Real, damn, it's a perfect poster to me. I definitely agree that I like this poster more than I like this trailer. Huh. Yeah. Damn, that is dope. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I mean, because like any movie that has any horror movie that has a tie-in with Halloween, I'm like, I feel duty bound to at least give a shot. Like I'm interested to check it out. I just love. I'm just a big stan for Halloween. I want to see some fucking Halloween shit happen. So we'll give it a shot, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Who knows? It didn't look appealing to me, but I didn't know that it came from the Rob Zombie squad. Well, not
It
really.
doesn't.
But,
It's
Rob Zombie
it doesn't.
for higher movie making.
This is being distributed by Dread Central, which they're the same guys that put out like Terrifier and Director's Cut and that Kane Hodder documentary and Sleigh Bells and a lot of other stuff. But I don't know. Some of the other movies that they had put out, I have definitely been a big fan of, and this is one that just like plays particularly to my taste as well. So I'm definitely excited about it. Hopefully, it doesn't blow. It totally could, but
yeah. I'm gonna keep an open and optimistic mind about it, all because of that damn poster.
Too much of a horror snob these days, you know. That's my problem.
Oh yeah, you basha.
Yeah, basha.
Carpet Street.
It's a horror snob.
It's so hot.
Fuck it, basha.
I like Bougie Bob.
No, I'm doing you.
Oh.
Well, sure.
Well, we got another trailer. One more trailer.
Bourgeois Bob.
Bourgeois Bob. We got another trailer. It's for a movie called Gags the Clown. It's being distributed by Bloody Disgusting, actually. So this is going to be coming at you on VOD on September 3rd, 2019, which is like the same weekend as It Chapter 2, which is a curious choice to make because everybody's going to be watching It Chapter 2.
Sure, yeah. Sure.
They want the alternative clown horror fans.
Yeah,
that
people
is
that
a
don't
weird
want to leave their house.
Poser clown horror fans.
Fucking poser.
Are you
hard with us?
Hard with Gags the Clown?
I am not.
This movie takes place 8 days since the clown first showed up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, over the course of one night, 4 different groups of people cross paths with the clown everyone calls Gags, and his true intentions are finally revealed. So this is a feature film debut.
I forgot that this happened. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like,
that's my problem too.
Yeah.
Not that I forgot that it happened, but this is clearly like supposed to be a rip from the headline sort of deal, like capitalizing on the virality of the creepy clown thing. But that's been going on for like 3 years. Like
clown roaming.
It's not novel anymore. So does anybody actually think that there's anything beyond just, horror fans dressing up spookily on a Halloween-centric night and going around scaring people or freaking people out? That's all it is. So, I mean, that said, like the trailer, like it looks interesting. I'm curious to see, like it's a little like tone confused, or at least it's confused me. Like I'm not sure what it's aiming for exactly.
I was reading that it's supposed to be like a very, very dark comedy.
Okay, so it is,
but
there is
straight.
There is like a comedic element because
I got the comedy or the comedy that was in it, but like
it didn't seem like that at first, and then it went with like I forget what the song was, but the music shift turned into like it just really turned it on its head and became like a weird. Like
it looks like a movie that's gonna have a lot of jump scares, a lot of shitty jump scares.
And I mean, I'm not against it though. I don't mind seeing it. I just think it's kind of like a little late to capitalize on that, to where like people are kind of already wise to what that is.
What you're saying makes a lot. So Adam Krause, this is like the feature debut by director Adam Krause. And this is based on a short that he made 3 years ago. So 2016, like in his town, he made this short film and he released it. And it's made to look like actual footage and not like a produced short. And he like took a bunch of still images of this like clown creeping around his hometown. And he released those too. And it sort of like blew up and went viral. And people thought it was real, which is what he was trying to do. He was trying to fool people. And then like shortly after, he revealed that it was like, I made this thing and it's supposed to look creepy. And so from that comes this movie, and for whatever reason, it took a few years to make the feature, I guess, or to get funding or whatever the problem was. So he was on it in time. Also, if you guys haven't seen the poster for this, it's actually pretty dope as well. There's like another animated poster with a creepy clown holding some black balloons. But yeah, it's starring Lauren Ashley Carter from Darling, Pod, Imitation Girl, and Jugface. So I like pretty much all those movies that she's been in. She can hold a movie on her own pretty well. And
wait, what is this called?
Gags the Clown.
Oh, Gags. Okay.
Yeah, and it seems as though it might be kind of maybe an anthology, but one of those anthologies where like all the stories sort of cross over one another, sort of like Trick or Treat or something.
Yeah, I
like
could see that because there were a lot of like different clown faces in this just trailer alone that weren't like this one clown, and leads me to believe that like, and it looked like people that were like injured to become clown. Like I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of different like mythos happening here.
Yeah,
I don't like
and
this
it's also
poster
like,
as much as the last one.
I agree, but it's still a cool illustration. I do like the illustration in it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to watch this too. Bloody Disgusting, they put out some pretty decent stuff. It's not all great, but they previously put out the VHS movies, which I thought were pretty solid. They kind of, those VHS movies kind of have a similar look and feel to this trailer.
They do, yeah. Well, they're like jumpy, like found footagey things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so that could be cool.
Yeah, I'm interested in both. I do think it's interesting that they're releasing it during it.
That's nuts, dude.
It's a bizarre choice, but you know what? Go for it, I guess. They could have done it a week beforehand, and it would have been like, oh, get the people already chomping at the bit for clown horror, and just get in there 1 week ahead of time.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Because I mean, if you're going up against fucking like Bill Hader in the sequel to one of the most profitable horror movies made ever, like, not to mention everybody else in the movie. I just love Bill Hader. I don't know, this is the first name that comes to mind.
I know, me too.
I don't know. That's a lot to compete with. Bold move, but still, I'll probably watch both, and we'll see. Yeah,
we shall see.
We shall see. But yeah, that's all I got for horror news. We don't have any voicemails this week, but if you're listening and you would like to call and leave us a voicemail for our Hotline Scream segment, you can contact us at 904-638-3231 and leave us a voicemail, and we'll feature that on next week's show. So I guess there's only one thing left to do.
One thing left to do. It's time for an intervention.
Intervene in my life, please.
Yep. Let's intervene in Bob's life. Let's get way down in the hole. Let's talk about Bob's ever-growing physical media collection. We talking steelbooks. We talking holographics. We talking region-free. We talking 4Ks. Right, Bob? We know what's going on now, right?
You're using terminology, at least. Good job.
So last time we spoke, Rob, it was the 12th, and you had purchased 12. I'm just gonna say DVDs because it's a mix. It's a grab bag. It's not really. I mean, it's mostly Blu-rays and the occasional DVD. All right, you had purchased 12 mostly Blu-rays.
Yeah.
On the 12th. So, Bob, it seems like you maybe purchased Blair Witch 2, Book of the whatever. Is that true? What? Tell us what you bought this week, Bob.
Tell us, Bob. Show us the stack.
Show us the stack, YouTube exclusive.
Here's the stack
right.
for this week.
Oh, okay.
That's a good double feature.
So
okay.
I picked up 2 movies. Both of these I'm going to blame. Yeah, I'm going to blame both of these on Horror For You because I was not going to buy anything this week and be good. And then I was like, well, I got to know stuff about these movies because we're going to be talking about them and I haven't seen them in quite a while. So I picked up the Scream Factory double feature of Troll and Troll 2 because we're going to be talking about Troll 2 on the upcoming episode of Horror For You. And also, like I mentioned previously, we're talking about Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, which I had never seen in its entirety, so I picked that up on DVD, and it's also a double feature. It's got Blair Witch Project and Book of Shadows on there. For some reason, like finding just the DVD of like Book of Shadows, like only Book of Shadows, is I guess it's kind of rare because it's like crazy expensive, and that movie sucks. So I'm not gonna pay more than like a few bucks for it, you know.
I know.
So you can find this double feature, which oddly enough did not play in my Xbox One. I had to bust out the like old school player to play it. It just wouldn't. I don't know why. Never ran into that issue before. And also had like French subtitles. So I don't know where. I guess this came from France. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I'm probably gonna rewatch Troll 2 tomorrow and get that in my brain. I haven't seen that in years.
So wait. Where did you get these from, Bob?
Both Amazon.
Oh, both Amazon. Okay.
Yeah. Are you watching Troll or Troll 2 for the podcast?
Troll 2.
Oh boy, So jealous of you getting to talk about that shit. That movie is fucking ridiculous. Have you ever watched that documentary, Best Worst Movie, that's about that movie?
Yeah, I have. I think it's on Amazon Prime. So
It used to be, at least, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be anymore, but I think it was, and it might still be. Who knows? But yeah, both are. It's a necessary to watch that for context afterwards.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
God
Some
damn.
revisionist history going on.
Oh, so much. It's great. It's like the polar opposite of Room 237. It's like a movie that cannot be taken seriously versus a movie that has been taken way too seriously. Yes. So I want to point this out real quick that we had somebody weigh in on the vinegar hole situation here. Our buddy Matt on Facebook sent us a message saying that he thinks that all of Bob's John Carpenter DVDs should count towards the Vinegar Stroke jet ski, because even if some of them are not horror movies, Bob is buying them because he is a horror fan and he's being loyal to his horror director.
It's true. And that's when he mentioned Dune, and we were like, oh, we're not going to count Dune. I almost like included it because of that like similar reason. I was like, yeah, but he bought it because you specifically said I'm on a Carpenter character.
Well, that's not Carpenter. That's David Lynch.
But, Lynch. That's a same kind of print. He's like, I'm going through all the Lynch movies. That's what it was. I'm going through all the Lynch movies. Like, and then the next week you're like, I'm on a Carpenter gig.
Right.
Like, well,
yeah. I mean, if you got a Carpenter movie, it's probably 9 times out of 10, 90% of that motivation comes from your love of John Carpenter, the horror director. Yeah. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, yeah, because up until this point, the only movies I had seen of his are the horror movies. Well, with the exception of like Big Trouble in Little China and like Escape from New York,
which is also horror centric. And Escape from New York, maybe not. Maybe it's more actiony, but yeah.
And I was going, same thing with like Lynch. That was the same. You're like, oh, I'm going through like all the Lynch, and we count Mulholland Drive.
You guys could just do whatever the fuck you want. I gotta say, I thought Matt and I were tight, man, but he did me pretty fucking dirty here.
Oh, he's just telling the truth. Somebody's got to hold you accountable for your jet ski losses, Bob.
Who was it? Michael, I think, was defending you a little bit, but I think that's because you're both shared like addicts. I think.
Yeah.
You guys are enablers of each other for sure.
Yeah. He's like, leave Bob alone. He doesn't need. He doesn't need a jet ski. He just needs a more region-free 4K steelbook. Right, Bob?
Yeah, that's what I need. Where am I going to park a jet ski?
Hey, I was also curious, too, because I was thinking about, like, some of the old movies you bought, and I was like, damn, sometimes Bob shows up with, like, 9... it's a stack of 9. And I'm like, I remember one time, like, you had, like, the Blade trilogy. That was, like, probably a month ago, Bob. Have you watched the Blade trilogy since you bought that a month ago?
No,
you haven't watched the Blade trilogy.
Man, the screws are really turning on this one.
So sometimes you like show up with like 9 like blues. I'm like, when is he gonna watch those? Because sometimes they're like triple features.
And you see the bottom coming up of the new year coming up at you already. Bob.
Also, too, Bob, have you watched the 50 Cent Wicker Man that you got?
Actually, yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Had
50
you ever
cents well spent?
Had you had never seen that before? Oh, okay.
I saw it like with my family in the theaters when it first came out, and I only remember like the stuff you see on memes and whatnot.
Yeah.
It takes so long to get to that stuff. Like most of that movie is pretty nothing.
That's why it's not a cult classic, because there are some bombastic Nick Cage scenes, but it's nowhere near the density of insane themes that it needs to have to save it. Like it's not Vampire's Kiss.
No, it's not.
You know what? I don't like remember the specifics about that movie, but I know I don't want to get into spoilers. Why didn't they just do whatever they did in the beginning? Like, why do they have to wait so long? Why don't they just grab him, snatch him up, put him in a cage?
Well, I mean, your anti-spoiler stance is kind of undercut by everything you just said. But whatever.
Just snatch him up, I don't know.
And saying more seems like a problem.
You can't cage.
But that bear costume, though.
I mean, did you guys see? I sent this on the Slack. They have there is like basically a sleeping bag that makes you look like a bear, a brown bear, and it literally zips up at the mouth, so you look like
That sounds dangerous. Somebody's got to shoot your ass.
Well, I mean, it's for people who are like glamping and shit. They ain't getting shot for nothing. They're in their backyards or whatever. If that, it's like I think
it's for furry ink.
Oh, it's almost a furry costume. It just doesn't have the requisite cock hole, I think.
You just got to cut it out yourself.
You just got to hem that thing yourself. So
it's just like when you're making your own crotchless panties, you know?
No shade to our furry bros. You guys go get it. But,
I make my own crotchless panties all the fucking time. Like I got it down pat.
I buy them discount at Costco and then just.
I've got a template that I just lay out now.
Perfect size and everything. It's just really lets my boys breathe.
Damn, Bob. I didn't know that for you.
Mm. What good is a crotchless panty if you're not going to wear them yourself?
Whoa.
It gets hot in Florida, okay?
That took a turn.
Doesn't it always?
Yeah, it does. It does. That's pretty much it for us here this week at Straight Chilling.
Oh, wait, Bob. You're currently at 14 DVDs for the month of August. So we haven't hit July numbers yet. You got what, like a week and a half? 11 days. Almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You got 11 days to beat that record of 19. You think you're going to hit it?
I don't know. Hopefully not, because I don't want to hear
you got anything on the radar?
Yeah, I got one thing pre-ordered. So I'll have at least one next week.
Frogtown.
Well, then, good. I'm saving you, Bob. I'm saving you. The intervention's working.
I really want you to get Hell Comes to Frogtown, because I know I'm not going to purchase it, but I really want to play with the box. It looks great.
It's a September release, so that won't be this. If I should purchase it, it won't be this.
If I should maybe purchase it, you will. You will.
It's on pre-order, Bob. You know it is.
It's on pre-order in your mind, even if it's not in your bank account.
In your mind. Damn it. So again, big thanks to Darren for supporting us on Patreon and picking this lovely movie.
Thank you.
Big thanks. Thanks for being so damn hard with us. Damn.
Slap my ass, I guess. I don't really get.
Oh God! Slap my ass.
But it's fun. But it's funny, I guess.
Gotta keep them cheeks red, baby. They don't come.
Are we slapping our ass with like the money people are giving us? Is that what we're doing?
No.
Oh, you're paying to have your you're paying to have the ass slapped.
That's exactly right.
It's very obvious.
I think that's a bonus perk people didn't realize they were getting when they signed up for Patreon.
That's right.
We like to give a little extra here at Straight Chilling.
Oh yeah. We like to give 110% around here.
110.
Okay.
It's all about the last 10% there.
Yeah.
How is that a bump we have, but we don't have proper cooter bumps?
Sheer force of will is the answer to that.
Dude, sometimes there's just a ghost in my fucking machine and I lose things. I don't know what else to say about it, honestly.
Oh my lord.
Oh my lord.
Oh
my lord.
Oh lord.
You better stop forget.
Bourgeois Bob bringing it back.
This your boy Frail Stains.
This your boy Randy.
This your boy.
Oh, there are no Jesus.
Friendship.
That's as good of a capper as anything, I guess.
We are friends. So that's going to do it for us here this week at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week. We're talking about the winner of the August poll pick, which was Army of Darkness.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Slam your eyeballs into that and be ready for next week. Until then, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. We are on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. We also have a Slack channel going. If you want to join that, just let us know on any one of those social media platforms, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the daily convos in the Slack channel. Watch Justin play video games. Help him beat this stupid game so we can play Friday the 13th. Where can they watch you play video games, Justin?
Twitch.tv/Straight Chillin' Podcast.
Hells yeah. I think that's about everything we got. So until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Tits.